Hey, what's up, guys? A little while ago in the comments section, somebody asked me if there was a way to use a poor tactic with really good players. That is to say, is there a way that you could use a tactic that's not really designed to win and use it with a team with attributes that are so good that you will be able to win anyway? And so I decided to go for it. There's a editor data file I created a little while ago with an overpowered New York City FC playing in the World Super League that I decided to pick up for this. And I decided to just give it a go and a holiday and sort of see what happens. Now, I'm going to give you a little preface here to say that, like, if you're looking for something that is scientifically accurate and valid, this is the wrong place to look, right? This is mostly me just sort of playing around with something. I don't have the Football Manager real-time editor on this computer. I don't have it turned on. I've tried it before. It doesn't work quite as well in Linux as it does in Windows for reasons that I think are obvious when you understand, kernel issues and stuff in Linux. And so as a result, there's a lot of things that I can't really do to do an actual full-out test of this. I have gone through not even a full season, and I can tell you that the things that I've discovered I think are actually pretty interesting. So we'll go ahead here and take a quick look at this. Here we go, and this is kind of the way that things are here for us. So here I am at New York City FC. It is April 15th, 2023, and if we lose the next match, I think I'm a goner. I went on holiday through the whole thing and just sort of let it play. I'm using World Super League, which means that we have a lot of games. It also means that there's legitimate competition and we don't have to worry about stupid MLS rules and all that other stuff that comes with the base game. So don't worry about any of that. Take a look here at the tactics. Basically what I did is, instead of trying to come up with a tactic that I thought was bad or doing something just totally ridiculous, I decided to do a tactic that came standard with the game. So we went to park the bus and chose the defensive 4-4-2. Mentality is defensive, not awful, right? Now, as you can see, looking at this team, it's not like we have a bad team, right? So I've stuck Pele on the team. We have a very young Erling Haaland. We also have a very young Messi somewhere here on the bench. There he is. He's actually resting because he's tired. We have Leviashin, who you know from the other save. We have Maradona here, who looks like he's also tired, and I think he's probably upset. Now, he actually was kind of happy with things. We have players who are upset with me for one reason or another, and so on and so forth. As you can see, looking at the statistics, it's not like these players played horribly. Pele had 31 goals in 48 matches so far, which is really good. We have Johan Cruyff with 10 goals in 17. The rest of the team, however, has been mostly devoid of scoring. And that's one of the things that I think is very, very interesting when we look at this, the fact that it does kind of make a difference what your tactical settings actually are. And so when we look into the way that things have been going this season, it's been kind of a sad story. So for obvious reasons, the club expect us to compete and win and gain automatic promotion to the Premier League. That is not going to happen. And we did poorly in both cups, and the board is very upset about that. We do have good control over the wage budget. And by the way that I did this is, instead of using the in-game editor, I used the pre-game editor to put these players on the team. So, I mean, it works pretty well. You would expect this team, by the way, to totally dominate. In fact, they should be able to dominate the Premier League. So I do think that there is something happening with the tactic. Now, is this a big enough sample size to say for sure? I don't really think so. I haven't put myself to be unsackable on this, right? There's all sorts of other things we could do to make it a much better test that I haven't quite done yet. But basically, we're not doing very well, and I think that the tactic is largely to blame for the fact that we're not doing particularly well. When we look over at the competition itself, you can see we're in 5th place, which is not awful given the tactic. In other words, you can still win matches, but this is not quite as good as we would expect to see. In other words, I think that the poor tactic has made it so that our results are not quite all that they could be. When we look through the schedule, we can see that here we've lost a number of matches that we really should have won. 2-0 to Botafogo in early October. 1-0 loss to Malaga. There's this loss to America, 2-1. America, I should say. Guimarães, 1-0 loss, and there's another 2-1 loss. Nothing that's huge, right? But there are losses here that you would not expect from a team this decked out with good players. And when we played, for example, in this FA Cup round against Feyenoord, who are a Premier League side, we got absolutely blasted by them, which kind of gives you an idea of how poor we are. Now, we did beat Malaga here 7-0 in a match that must have really been a doozy to watch. I'm not quite sure how we were able to score 7 goals, given the fact that we weren't exactly trying to score. Maradona and Thales Magno both had hat-tricks in this one. So, I mean, you know, we do have the ability to score goals despite the fact that we're using a tactic that revolves around basically parking the bus and doing nothing. But this isn't necessarily looking so great for us. Let's see if there's anything useful to see over here. We look into our team performance, we can see that we're performing below average, a little bit above average in defending, but without that attacking to latch onto it, it's not particularly helpful. Let's see if there's anything else here that is useful at all. And yeah, no, you have to ask for your analytics, which I haven't quite done yet. So we can look closer into that maybe at some other time. But that gives you sort of a basic idea of what's happened. Now, in terms of stuff like training and all that stuff, I just left everything at default. So, I mean, like I said, we're not really testing anything. This is not, you know, some sort of like professional test or something like that of exactly what would happen. There's nothing particularly scientific about this. But I do think that the result here is pretty telling. In other words, in Football Manager, it does make a difference what tactic you use. I think, honestly, what is happening here in the game is that most people realize that, and most people will use like a Gegenpress type tactic. So again, we'll go back here. If you want to see what it's like if you're not pressing, you're wasting time whenever possible. You have a shorter tempo. That's why the intensity is down so much, right? You tell them to be disciplined so that they'll keep playing this way. In tactics, we want to slow down the pace. We don't want to counter at all. We are regrouping instead of counter-pressing where we lose possession, right? It's kind of like the anti-gegenpress, right? And when you play with an anti-gegenpress, it's harder to win. I mean, it may be the case that the players are feeling happy and healthy and that they're not, you know, playing with a huge amount of intensity. And when you go here into the dynamics, yeah, the cohesion is pretty good. The support is okay, but it's dropping. Everyone wants a new deal, but I'm not going to be around for long to give them a new deal, and some of these guys want to leave now. So I would say, though, that a big part of the problem is that we have a team with a lot of talent that is not winning, and that's the biggest problem, right? You need to be able to win. Winning is kind of the name of the game. So anyway, there you have it. Like I said, I mean, the real way I think to test this would be to take a tactic otherwise proven to be successful and to like take a couple things out, like turn it away from being a Gegenpress tactic and see if you can still win, right? What we can see here clearly, though, is that even with arguably the best players in the game, your tactic that calls for them to park the bus and play ultra defensively is not going to do you any favors, and it's not going to win a whole lot. Anyway, at least that's sort of what my take is on this. I'd love to know what you think about it. Like I said, there are a lot of holes with this, a lot of places where you can sort of criticize the work that has been done. But there you have it. That's a real quick look at what happens when you take a good team and you give them a really bad tactic. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.